Psst, you. Yeah, you. What you doing on Monday? I know what I'm doing. I'm starting my week off right with Talking About the Blues podcast.
Hey, once again you are bluesing with Talking About the Blues podcast, coming to you straight from New York City. We got a very special show with a very special guest, my main bluesing with you from Atlanta, Georgia, Larry Griffith. But before we get into that, remember, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Podomatic, subscribe to us on iTunes, follow us also on the website. That way you can join the mailing list and stay updated with our blues. And also, you know I always start the show out with my two most favorite blues musicians of all time, Eddie Sunhouse and Charlie Patton, which I will do today. But today's show will be featuring and highlighting all of Larry Griffith's songs that we have here. So let's get to blues, baby.
Get you another man, I saw him in swell. Lord, I read my right hand. And I'm gonna get me a woman, babe. You get you another man. I got a letter this morning. How do you sing it red? Oh, hurry, get you love it, then. I got a letter this morning. How do you get ready? Oh, hurry, the gal you love is dead. I ain't got my suitcase, I took her up the road. I got that she's laying on that cooling bowl. I grabbed my suitcase, I took her up the road. Oh, when I got there, she laying on the cooling bowl. Well, I walked too close, I looked down in her face. Good old gal got to lay here, tell my day. I walked up close and I looked down in her face. It's a good old gal got to lay here till judgment day. Sure now, I feel low down the sea. Oh, my woman's so black, she says, a part of this town. Can't nothing grow when the poor girl is around. My black mama, she's a part of this town. Oh, can't nothing grow when the poor girl is around. Tell me the words, do they bad? It's what's so feeling that I ever had. Some people tell me the words, do they bad? But is it what's so feeling, Lord, I ever had? I bore my arms and I walked away. That's all right, Mama, your trouble will come someday. I pull my arm, Lord, I walked away. Yeah, that's all right, Mama, your trouble will come someday. I ain't gonna have no time, mama, rolling through this wild. love in Mexico. I'm for shaking head, Mama said, Lord, you loving boy. I'm for shaking head, I said, with you loving boy. Make I eat my supper and you'll be land noise, yeah, below. Big boy gonna hear mama, you know, lose out just below. If I get back there, I won't be bad no more. In my big got a heart like a piece of railroad steel. Break my heart like a piece of railroad steel. As I need this morning, never said that I did
Talking About the Blues mission is to celebrate our heritage and preserve blues music. Become part of the movement by donating today.
Joining me today on Talking About the Blues is the bluesman himself out of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Larry Griffith. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm blessed. Too blessed to be stressed. So it's an honor to have you join us today.
Well, it's an equal honor for me to be there. I appreciate you guys taking the time. I'm looking forward to it.
Dig it. So before we get into your musical journey, how's the blues scene in Atlanta?
Man, the blues scene in Atlanta is wide open. And a lot of people hear blue and they think that blue is one color. But man, blue colors all the spectrums of the rainbow down here in GA. It's crazy. You know, you got you got the Southern Soul thing happening, which is more us grown folk with grown black folk.
Oh, right.
You have you have the blues rock thing going on down here, which is all over the place. You have blues jam sessions every night where the best players from here and players coming in town to do shows, they all converge at 2 or 3 of the best clubs here in Atlanta and jam into the wee hours of the morning. Man, I'm telling you, you got all different colors of blue up in here.
I could dig it. So now I see you favor the storytellers of the singer-songwriter world. So let's talk about your blues journey, when and where it started, and who are some of your inspirations?
Well, my journey started as a musician first before I was put into any kind of trick bag as far as the style of music. It was just listening. As I said, there were 9 of us. There were 5 girls and 5 guys in my family. And I was raised with my mother. My father drank himself to death when I was 2 years old. There's a blues song right there.
Yes, it is.
And she never remarried, so she raised us on her own. My aunt lived with us. And I was the youngest, so all of my older brothers and sisters all had eclectic taste. They all had these different styles. One of them was in the Motown. To go over here, somebody was into the Beach Boys and the Beatles. Over here, someone was into, deep fried Southern sort of soul. So it was all kinds. And then there was Jimi Hendrix and all this other kind of stuff. So all my brothers and sisters were into lots of different things. And I had a older brother that was in the straight up jazz, so I got that influence as well. So the thing that stood out to me was the stories, and that's where I first caught the bug as far as music, is listening to the different songs that had these great stories. Joe Tex was one of these guys that had great stories that were humorous. Right. I don't know if you remember a Joe Tex song, Skinny Legs and All.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And Joe Tex was one of those guys. And then you had different ones that were more serious with their lyrics, but still told great stories. Willie Dixon was one of the first blues guys I heard. And Willie wrote songs for Muddy Waters. He wrote songs for Bo Diddley, Howlin' Wolf, Lil Walter. I mean, he wrote for everybody, and all of his songs stood out from being great stories. Right. And on top of being great stories, his melodies were really simple and memorable.
Right.
And so from that early age, 9, 10 years old, I started writing those songs down, the ones that I liked, and I would pin them on my wall. And you go in there, and next thing you knew, the wallpaper was all these different songs that this little, 9, 10-year-old kid had pinned on the wall. Then I started writing my own songs and telling my own stories from there. So that's how I started.
That just showed how much those songs, those people affected you in a great way.
Well, when you think about it, maybe they were surrogates because there was no father there. So maybe the songs became my surrogates. Who knows?
Right. Wow. Yeah. Listen, you guys are about to get some wisdom today.
Seems like I've been waiting. Why, I just don't know. Been just kind of skating, waiting for the goal. Materializing in my mind, the perfect path for me to find. Now the green light's flashing, and the waiting stage is passing this time. Seems like I've been staying one place for oh so long. Been just role playing, it's getting real old. Materializing in my mind, the perfect path for me to find. Now the green light's flashing, and the waiting stage is passing this time. Now, right here, come on. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Woo! Now ease on in there. Ha. smooth ride. I'm gonna rev up your motor. I wanna feel what you got. Let your top down. Let your daddy see. You got something under there that's sure enough moving me. I'm gonna drive it straight up the center, baby. I ain't trying to tease. Keep riding, I'll keep driving. Keep riding, I'll keep driving. Riding, driving, moving on out. Woo! Hold on, baby. Now ease it on down. Oh, you must have some junk in your trunk. You rolling close to the ground. Back that thing up, mama. Now slow roll it all around. Woo. Keep it riding. I'll keep driving. Keep it riding. I'll keep driving. Riding, driving, moving on out. Woo. Oh, I'm about to step on the gas. Move on out the way. I'm about to reach my destination. Ain't trying to put on no brakes. Keep riding. I'll keep driving. Keep riding, I'll keep driving. Riding, driving, moving on out. Woo! Hold on, baby. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Riding, driving, moving on out.
Now you guys just heard Keep Riding, and it's time, all off Larry Griffith's great album, Hard As It Gets. We're going to be playing more from that album as the interview goes on. Let's continue bluesing, good folk. Tell us the story how you started your career as a recording artist and some of the artists you played with.
Well, I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and being from Ohio, I lived in Walnut Hills, which is where King Records was. And King Records is famous now because it was the place that James Brown did all of his big hits, you know, the Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud, Mama Come Here Quick, Bring Me That Licking Stick. You know, James Brown was the guy, soul brother #1.
Yes,
so
he was.
that
yes,
was my neighborhood. That was the neighborhood I grew up in. And so those guys would come out into the neighborhood, James Brown and Hank Ballard and the Midnighters and Freddie King, and just a who's who. Wynonie Harris from the 50s. I think he was still around when I was just a little kid, maybe about 66, 67. He was still around as well. So all these guys were in the neighborhood, and we would see them. We would see them. When they would make records, they would bring those records out to us first to see if we liked them, and if we liked them, then I guess we were their test market. Then They would put those records, they would decide which ones to put out based on the reaction they got from us kids in the neighborhood. So that was where I came from. And people, there was music everywhere, musicians everywhere. My next door neighbor was a drummer, and he played, like he would go out on tour with Ike and Tina Turner, or he'd go out on tour with Sam and Dave. And, you know, over on this side was a guitar player who played with national acts. Well, when I was 16, one of the guys from Hank Ballard and the Midnighters came and knew that I had started playing drums, because I started playing drums when I was probably 9, 10. And by this time I'm 16. And he took me into the recording studio, and I went in, and that was a whole nother world there. And
Yeah.
it was a little daunting at first, but then he said, "Man, it's just a big old tape recorder. Don't even sweat it." And he was right. It's just a big old tape recorder. And the more I thought about that, the more sense it made. So we went in, and he said, "We just gonna push record, and it's just gonna be like being at home with your cassette." And we did that. I recorded several songs, and that led me to become a session player at a lot of different places around Cincinnati. And when I was in high school, I got to play with a couple of people that had records out. And that was really good for me. I played with a group called 24 Karat Black, and they were on Stax Records, and they had a gold album. And this is when I was in the 11th grade. So that was really good for me, get that experience. And I'd go out on tour on the weekends to different places. We'd go all over the Midwest and play. And so I got to meet a lot of people that way. And that's how I started. And it just went on and on from there. And of course, this whole time I was writing. I was writing my own songs. I didn't really know what I was going to do with them. They were just my songs.
Right.
I wasn't interested in recording, because at that point I hadn't started singing or anything like that. I just knew that I love these stories, just like kids sit and they love these video games.
Right.
I was like that with my stories. You know, That was my video game. I'd sit and I'd write these things out, and more often than not, I never even shared them with anyone. You know, it was just my thing. And I did that. And by the time I actually started thinking about recording my own things, I'd had, you know, over 100 songs.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I had been writing and keeping them in notebook after notebook after notebook. And that's, from those humble beginnings, that's how I started. And it wasn't until years later, after I had left Cincinnati and moved to Atlanta, that I was at a family reunion, and I saw a cousin sitting over on a picnic bench way off on his own listening to music, and he was listening to Lightning Hopkins. And I didn't know who Lightning Hopkins was. Okay. And so, and I said, wow, this is really nice. I loved the way that it was just raw and real. You know, I say there's the truth, and then there's the butt naked truth. And the blues is the butt naked truth, you know. and that's what resonated with me with that. I said, oh, this is butt naked truth right here. And then I realized that there was a parallel with that and those songs that I write, you know, because I wasn't trying to share my songs or impress anyone. So it was just real true and real what I was writing. And this is what they were doing. I didn't know that there was an expression or vehicle for that expression until I came into the blues.
That's a deeper connection right there. That's a real deep. Now, I really want to talk about the songwriting and your process based on what you just said. But before we get to that, I want to discuss the fact that you really went through the trenches. You started as a session player, then moved on to a band. Like, you played positions. You gradually got promoted to being the front man. How important is that into being the actual guy, or for the lady listeners, female role? Because a lot of people really just think they could write some songs and jump on stage.
Oh no. It's a process. It's definitely a process. The thing with me moving from the back of the stage to the front of the stage was out of necessity. They say necessity is the mother of invention. I had all of these things that I had to say, and I wanted to have a voice, and not as a singer, but a voice as an artist. And a lot of times on stage, when you're a side man, hence the name, you're side man. You don't really have a voice. You are nurturing and echoing someone else's voice. And I got to a point where I wanted to have my own voice as an artist. And that's how I made my way to the front of the stage. A lot of people said, you work really, really diligently to become a very in-demand side man. Why would you want to start over? Now, I didn't think of it as starting over. I thought of it as starting anew.
Right.
There's a real big difference from starting over and starting anew. I wanted to express myself.
Right.
I didn't want to lend expression to someone else, in that way. I wanted to express myself, what I had to say in my voice. So that's how it happened for me. And it's not a hard process, but you kind of have to be fearless.
Right.
And that's what I kind of always have been. Always have been. People would ask me, how did you do this? And what made you do this and do that and make this move and that move? And my answer is always, well, no one told me it was supposed to be hard. And if they did, I guess I missed the memo. That's how it's always been with me.
I dig it. Man, listen, pay attention, get those notebooks out. So now, we're in a situation where you have notebooks full of songs.
Yes.
You've decided, you know what, my voice needs to be heard. And you know what, we use the term decided, but I'm a spiritual cat. I believe in God. I believe in the ancestors. I believe it's a little stronger than just making a decision. At that point, what was on the inside? What just triggered that you was like, this is the time now? How long has it been since you established yourself into being an in-demand sideman?
From the time I was 16 until, well into my 30s, I was a very in-demand sideman, playing with any and everybody. I really, like you said, it's more divine than it is a decision. And what happened to me as a sideman, I was perfectly content at the time playing behind someone, and someone else came in to the place I was playing, and he says, I have my own record company, and I'd like for you to come and work for me. And myself, because my ego just is not in that place, I thought, do you want me to come in and help you find artists to record? I said, no, I want you to record. I want you to make records. I've heard through the grapevine that you have these, lots of songs, and I want you to come in and record. So I was so devoid of ego that I had no idea that he was actually wanting me to come in under my own name.
Wow.
So that was it. It wasn't a decision, as I said, as much as it was divine. And that once I heard that knock, I opened the door. So that's how it happened for me. That's when I did High Wire Walking, and my first record under my own name. I'd done lots of records with other artists, but my first record under my own name was High Wire Walking. And it was at that time that I actually had that dream in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah, because I was going to ask you about that, too. Let's talk about it.
Well, there again, that was divinity stepping in. I was in Clarksdale at the King Biscuit Blues Festival playing drums for someone else, and I was in this little motel room for 3 days, and I had the same dream all 3 days, and it was nothing but the grace of God. That's all it was, because in this dream, I was on stage playing guitar, which I had no inclination toward it. I never thought about playing it. And I was playing it, and I was playing my music. As a matter of fact, I was playing a song called Down in the Delta, which is a song I haven't even written yet. But it was a song that I was singing on stage, and it was called either Deep in the Delta or Down in the Delta. And I was on stage singing that. And it was a sweaty black juke joint, and they was screaming and hollering, and it was surreal because I'd never even handled a guitar before. And so after the third day of that, I went back to Atlanta, and I had an artist here in Chicago, Joe Jones, was a good friend of mine. I told him about it, and he said, well, listen, I bought this guitar at a garage sale for $1. You can have it.
Wow.
And from that $1 guitar, which worked, I started trying to figure it, I started picking the lock on the blues. And that's what I started doing. I started fiddling with it, and I would dial into a chamber. Well, that one don't go. I'll dial this way, and I kept picking the lock. And after a while, I started picking the lock pretty good. It started opening up for me.
I dig it.
I've got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. I've got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. All you fellas better listen to me, 'cause that's all you need. That's all you need. I've got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. I've got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. All you fellas better listen to me, 'cause that's all you need. That's all you need. Ain't got no time to be ripping and running. I ain't trying to be out there, honey. I got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. All you fellas better listen to me, 'cause that's all you need. That's all you need. Well, I'm trying to tell you now. Well. Can't gain nothing strutting out collecting numbers. A word about some brother trying to steal your thunder. I got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. All you fellas better listen to me, 'cause that's all you need. That's all you need. I learned the hard way. Ain't trying to make a play with no crocodile tears, no sympathy's pain. Now I know it ain't for one way, and that's the right way. Listen up, I'm trying to save your tears. I've got one good woman at home, and that's all I need. That's all I need. I've got one good woman at home. That's all you need. That's all you need. All you fellas, you better listen to me, 'cause that's all you need. Well, that's all you need. I'm trying to tell you now. That's all you need. That's all you need. I'm trying to tell you. One good woman at home. That's all you need. That's all you need. All you fellas better listen to me. Well. investigation. I'm getting some help I don't need. Milkman, mailman, both crowding round my door. Butcher showed up this morning with meat from the killing floor. And when a preacher got the Holy Ghost, I can swear he called your name. I bet not catch you speaking in tongues. I swear I go insane. It don't take no rocket scientist to figure out what's wrong with me. I got a bad, bad feeling. I'm getting some help I don't need. To my knees. Oh, it don't take no eternal investigation to figure out what's wrong with me. I got a strong premonition. I'm getting some help I don't need. Closest neighbor in another state. Change your name and number, put you in a witness protection plan. Then dare anybody to come up and ask me about you and some other man. Oh, it don't take no Geneva Convention to figure out what's wrong with me. I got a cold, cold feeling. I'm getting some help I don't need.
That first selection was One Good Woman, and you know what? That's all we all need. Followed by Help I Don't Need, again, off the great album Hard As It Gets by Larry Griffith. Back to bluesing.
Remember, our mission is to celebrate our heritage and preserve blues music. Become part of the movement by donating today.
So now you have this slew of songs. You opened the door to first being your own artist after the gentleman approached you, and now you've opened the door to the blues.
Right.
We see the connection here because you were always writing stories with your songs. So how did the songwriting process go at this point?
Well, the one I kind of came through the back door, I had written melody and lyrics, and because of my studio experience as a session player, I had seen the process many, many times of actually taking those and making records out of them. So when it was time, I already knew that, how to make records, how to take those thoughts and those melodies and turn them into records. So I already knew how to do that. And that's how that it kind of all came together. I didn't realize that there was a divine plan in action all along until I got in the studio, and it was clockwork.
Wow.
It was like those records made themselves. I knew exactly what to do, who to get, how to chart. If I had to chart out things, I knew exactly how to do it because I'd seen that process a million times. There is something that happened that I recall. Michael Jordan was standing at the free throw line once, and he turned to Larry Bird and he said, "You want to see me make this one with my eyes closed?" And Bird just kind of shrugged him off. Jordan closed his eyes and took the shot. And he made the shot. Everybody was amazed. But what they didn't know was Jordan had done that 200 times in practice by himself.
Right.
You know, so when they didn't see that. So that's kind of the same thing with me. When it came time to make those records, it was not that big a deal, and it wasn't that hard for me to do, to transition to that guy that was the guy up front, because I'd seen the process many, many times.
So it's safe to say that you produced all your albums.
Yeah, I'd like to say I co-produced.
Okay.
Some of them I produced all on my own, but there are a couple of them. There's a guy named Oliver Wood that the record company hired to come in and produce the records. He knew it was my first record. Oliver Wood is with the Wood Brothers now. He and his brother just signed with Blue Note Records, and they play all over the world now, and he's doing really, really well. He's also producing Shamika Copeland and a bunch of really well-known blues artists now, but he was my first producer. So I could have gone in on my own, but because I was new, the record company had a producer, one of their producers, come in and help me put it together. So yeah, and he did. He helped a lot.
It's a collective process, for that matter.
Yes, it is. And it's a mutual admiration society because everybody wants the best for everybody.
Right. One of the main reasons why I'm happy you answered that question and the way you did is because during this new digital era boom, so many people are misinformed and under the impression that they could just sit in front of a computer and produce a great album. And it doesn't necessarily work that way, does it?
9 times out of 10, it does not work that way. No. You have to have lived something. You have to go out there and, as they say, you got to get a little bit dirty. You got to get a little grease under your finger. You know, you can't just sit there. You know, somebody, who was that? I can't remember. Somebody said, well, man, I was on welfare. Now they want you to go all the way down there and pick up the check. You know, it's like, no, you got to get up out of the house. You got to, there's so much more to a studio than sitting there in front of a computer. There's so much more to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now let's talk about the industry as a business and signing to labels. Well, not just to labels. Let's speak about your experience with the label and how the business process works in terms of getting everything together, music, the ads, how you decide what songs go on.
Well, there are different degrees of it. In the blues is a lot smaller market. I've been on recordings with people that were on major labels, and that's a whole different process. I like the smallness of the blues labels because you can be more hands-on. And a lot of the large labels, you just kind of feel like you're being dragged along with the current, and you kind of feel like you're drowning. But with the blues, it's more grassroots, and as I said, you can be as hands-on as you want to be. And that's the big difference. And I tell a lot of people, especially a lot of the rappers and things, you got to take care of your business. Don't depend on, think you're going to get this manager and they're going to have your best interest at heart. You have to have your best interest at heart.
Right.
And you have to show that through your diligence in finding out and learning everything that you can about the business and getting some education. There's so much out here. I don't know in other smaller places, but here in Atlanta, there's places that you can go for minimal cost and find out about the business. You can take courses. You can take a 10-week course here, a 3-week course here. You can get the knowledge that you need so that you won't have to feel like you are at the mercy of someone else.
And that's very important. So the smaller labels actually run as the artists are an independent entity, and they get to actually control or handle their own business along with making the music.
That's right. You also have the option of being intellectually lazy too. if you're going to be that way, then you're going to get taken advantage of, So I always recommend that you take the extra step, go the extra mile, ask the questions. When I'm in there, they say, oh, here he comes again. I'm going to ask a million questions,
Right.
And I want to know, as I told you off air, I read the Bible backwards and forwards 3 times straight through, because nobody's just going to feed me something and expect me just to, regurgitate it. I want to know. I want to know for myself, because that knowledge definitely is power.
Absolutely.
That's not just a cliche. It is the most powerful thing on earth, knowledge.
Hold up! Now I know I just didn't open up the door to my house and find a note from my woman talking about if the phone don't ring, that's me. What? Somebody better call somebody. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody needs to call somebody. Tell them everything's alright. They should be coming home tonight. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody better pick up the telephone. Somebody better make like E.T. and phone home. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody sure enough need to call somebody. Might have to call the law. Might break some sucker's jaw. Somebody better call somebody. Where this woman at? Got me walking around the house worried. 4 nights, 3 days, and 22 hours. That's how long it's been since I had myself a shave or a shower. I'm waiting for the phone to ring, and as of yet I ain't heard a damn thing. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody sure enough needs to call somebody. Just tell them everything's alright, that you'll be coming home tonight. Somebody better call somebody. You know what, darling? Somebody better be broke down by the roadside, or somebody better come up with a real good lie. Somebody better call somebody, please, baby. Come on and call somebody. Might have to call the law, 'cause I might break some sucker's jaw. Somebody better call somebody. Where you at? Let me tell you something else, darling. Cold nights, cold days, since they turned off my power. I tell you nothing matters now. Since she's gone, don't nothing else matter. I'm still waiting for the phone to ring. I still ain't heard a damn thing. Somebody better call me. Somebody better call somebody. Somebody need to call somebody. Won't you please? Tell them everything's alright. You gon' be home tonight. Come on and call me. Don't make me beg you, darling. Pick up the phone and call me, baby. I want you to call me. Yeah. I'm afraid I accept the charges. I just wanted to call. I'll specialize in bringing you flowers. I'll specialize D. I'll specialize with all of my power. Yes, I will now. I'll specialize in loving you. You know what else? I'll specialize in long walks in the moonlight. I'll specialize in making things right. Yes, I will now. I'll specialize with all of my power. I'll specialize in loving you. And every minute, every hour, I'm gonna shower you with love. I'm gonna show you just what you mean to me. I'm gonna be right there for you, even when times get bad. With the biggest part of my heart, darling, don't you know I'm just trying to say I'll specialize in rubbing your shoulder. I'll specialize in easing the strain. Yes, I will now. I'll specialize with all of my power. I'll specialize in loving you. Just sit down, baby. Let me get that for you. If you didn't hear me the first time, I want to say it again to you. And every minute, every hour, I'm gonna shower you with love. Yes, I will now. I'm gonna show you just what you mean to me. I'm gonna be right there for you, even when times get bad. With the biggest part of my heart, darling, don't you know I'm just trying to say I'll specialize in bringing you flowers. I'll specialize in making your day. Yes, I will now. I'll specialize with all of my power. I'll specialize in loving you. I'm gonna be right there for you, darling, whenever you need
You just heard Somebody Better Call Somebody. Sounds like some drama going on to me, baby. Followed by I Specialize in Loving You. There's a special lady out there somewhere, boy, I tell you. Again, off the great album Hard As It Gets by Larry Griffith. And if you don't read or ask questions, you're in the dark.
That's it. That's it. And contrary to rumor, it ain't no 20/20 vision in the dark.
Not even
Right.
if you read the Chronicles of Riddick.
That's right. That's right. It ain't no 20/20 vision in the dark. You're going to bump your head and you're going to be broke.
Right. Which, you know what, that's a great thing to discuss right now, because we do what we do for the love, for the drive, because there's just something, some artists, we have something in us that drives us to have to create. But at the end of the day, especially as an adult with responsibilities and people to provide for, you want to get paid for your services as close to your worth as possible.
Yes.
In this situation, is it safe to call it independent even though you're with a label?
Very, very safe to call it independent. That's what I would call it.
All right, so being independent, you have to not just take care of the music, but you have to make sure the papers is right.
Yes.
The
Very,
legal
very much
paper
so.
and the money.
You have to. I mean, I have my own publishing company, and I'm a member of a performing rights organization. But before I found out about that, you know, there are people out there that have their name on my songs that didn't write them, that had nothing to do with them. But because I didn't have my paperwork together, you know, those are songs. If that song goes on to, you know, make $1 million, I'm not going to make a dime off of it because I did not have that knowledge or that inclination toward that knowledge at that time.
So it's important to have a publishing company or register your composition if you don't have a publishing company.
It's very, very important. It's of the utmost importance to do that. Yeah, because that is for us musicians that don't have day jobs. That's our retirement. That's our 401k. You know, the royalties that we'll get from those songs. So, yeah, you have to take care of that business.
Dig it. Let's go back to your music for a moment. Would you, I'm just going to call it black music because that's what it is, but would you...
That's what it is.
Would you classify it as blues and soul, or blues or soul, or even gospel, or is it just all of the above?
All of the above. There are elements in all of that made it what it is. As I said, some elements are more prevalent than other elements, you know, but it's all in there. It's definitely all in there. So I'd say, it's maybe not equal elements, equal ingredients, but still ingredients.
Dig it. So with that being said, let's talk about the song Damn If It Didn't Rain. Where were you at that time?
Damn If It Didn't Rain was a song sort of dripping in irony for me. I was just at a point where I realized that it's time for me to be real. It's time for me to own my seat while I'm here on this earth. And the way for me to do that is to have integrity, to how can I say it? There's a lyric in that Damn If It Didn't Rain. My good sense tells me nothing's going to change if I keep standing on a bus stop trying to catch a train. Yeah, that is one of the lyrics that I wrote on there. And that's kind of, it's a song about a spiritual journey. And I'm saying, damn if it didn't rain. I had all this stuff all planned out. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. And damn if it didn't rain. And that song was about an awakening for me. It's about waking up to what's real and what's my reality and my truth and my story and not someone else's story.
Do you think as a singer-songwriter, as a composer, and as an artist, and as a man, a spiritual man, that moment, that realization, that discovery took your process and the results of your process to another level? Oh,
awareness. Once a light comes on, you're always going to go to another level. Yes. So yes, in answer to your question, it opened things up. As we said, there's the truth, and then there's the butt naked truth.
Right.
And when you turn on the light, that's the butt naked truth. And that's what that did for me. that song and a lot of the other ones, but that one, because that one that I actually went in and recorded and made a record of. I have 50 more that I have not recorded yet that have that sort of flavor to them. But yeah, that was very eye-opening, very turning point for me, where I realized I'm going to have to assume more control over my voice, my voice as an artist. So, and that was one of the pivotal songs that led me to that.
It's hard to follow that, but let's talk about Hard As It Gets, because we're going to play both songs.
Okay. Hard As It Gets was a song about tough times. Same thing. It's a song about life. Basically, it's a song about life and persevering. I go to buy groceries, ain't got no cash. Jump back in my car, ain't got no gas. I start walking. Tears stain every step. That's what that is. It can't get much harder, just about as hard as it gets. It's saying, it's as hard as it gets. So, and I survived, so I'm going to be all right. That's what that means to me. It can't get much harder. So if this is all you got, then I'm gonna persevere. So the song is about persevering.
Dig it. And it's some great poetry too, man. I got to say.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well, I prayed for sunshine just to guide my way. Then I prayed all night and then I prayed all day. Then I prayed in the chapel, tried to avoid my sin. Then I prayed up the corner, then around the bend. Then I prayed for the children out there trying to play. Then I prayed to the Lord that He would keep them safe. Then I prayed for the sinners, 'cause that's what I am. Then I prayed for the courage to be a better man. Then Lord, 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 damned if it didn't rain. Well, I prayed for the day when love would lead the way. Then I prayed for a joy that could be sustained. Then I prayed for an ocean to dry up the tears. Then I prayed and I prayed for what seemed like years. And Lord, 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 damned if it didn't rain. Oh, 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 well, didn't it rain? Didn't it rain? Didn't it rain? Lord, Lord, didn't it rain? Well, my good sense tells me nothing's gonna change if I keep standing on a bus stop trying to catch a train. Lord, 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 did it rain? 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 Well, I prayed for my mother, then I prayed for my friend, then I prayed for my brother, then I prayed for my kids, then I prayed for the family, then I prayed for the poor, then I prayed and I prayed till my knees got sore. Lord, 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 damned if it didn't rain. Whoa, whoa, didn't it rain? Didn't it rain? Didn't it rain? Lord, Lord, did it rain? Well, my good sense tells me nothing's gonna change if I keep standing on a bus stop trying to catch a train. Lord, 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 did it rain? 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 Did the rain, hear 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 the rain. All kind of hellhounds and demons chasing after me. I wake up, my body's soaking wet. Can't get much harder, just about as hard as it gets. I go to buy groceries, ain't got no cash. Back to my car, ain't got no gas. I start walking, tears stain every step. Oh, can't get much harder, just about as hard as it gets. Woo. Pinching pennies, holding signs in the street, doing anything to make ends meet. Holy rollers, saying I need to repent. Oh, can't get much harder, just about as hard as it gets. Can't get much harder, it's just about as hard as it gets. Let me tell you something, you won't believe this. Foreman said don't bother coming to work today. They got a new machine that'll do your thing for half your pay. Got me worried, man, I'm worried to death. Oh, it can't get much harder, just about as hard as it gets. Man asked me for $1, get him something to eat. I say, you think I had $1, I'd be out here in this heat? Got me worried, woo, I'm worried to death. Oh, it can't get much harder, it's just about as hard as it gets.
What is your songwriting process? You know, and is it after a specific experience, you're like, you know what, I got to go and record this real quick? How does that work?
For me, it happens in lots of different ways. Hard as It Gets was a song that I thought about the different scenarios and how rough this journey can be sometimes. And a lot of times, as with that song, I don't remember actually taking pen and paper and writing it down. But it was one of those songs. And I wrote a lot of that one when I was in the recording studio, because I went into the recording studio and I had the music down and I just started writing while I was there in the studio. I had a couple of lines. You know, the first line of that song is 3 a.m., I can't stay asleep. All kind of hellhounds and demons chasing after me. I wake up, you know, my body's soaking wet. I can't get much harder. It's about as hard as it gets. And I thought, man, I love that. And I said, I need to figure out what I'm talking about so I don't write myself in the corner, which is something that a lot of us songwriters do. We come up with a really strong first verse, and then, you know, we don't know where to go from there. Right. So that kind of is where that song came from. I started with that really strong first lyric, and then I said, well, I want to start talking about more worldly stuff now, about your job and about, pinching pennies and holding signs in the street. It was just stuff that I was observing, just like Marvin observing and what's going on. You can tell it just seems like a guy looking out his window and observing all this stuff. And that's, you ask about the process for that song. It was me looking out on the world and observing. Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's the way of the world. That's the kind of song. He's looking out on the world from his point of view and just reporting it.
Dig it. So with that being said, I would like to ask you this. I believe you made mention to this. So you lay the track down, then you begin writing the song.
Now it's very different sometimes. Now that particular time and a few other times, I'll lay the music down first. But usually when I go into a studio, I'll have the whole song done. Just sometimes I'll get in there and think I had it done. And once I hear it back, realize, oh, this is not done. I got more work to do on this.
Okay.
So I always go in with the intention, with the thought that this is done and I just want to lay it down. Sometimes you go in and you realize, oh, this is far from done. So yeah, that's what happened with that. So in answer to your question, no, I don't usually go in and write unless I have to rewrite once I get in there.
Let's talk about Big-Legged Woman and what inspired that song.
I just thought it was funny. When I was on stage, and that was something that just grew organically from being on stage, and sometimes in the middle of a song, someone would walk in and I'd say, stop the music. Just stop the music. And this woman would walk and I go, You got credit. And everybody would start laughing. I said, you got good credit. And they start laughing. I thought there's something there. Yeah. Something resonated with people. And then I started messing with it a little bit in my banter with the audience. And I'd say, I'm looking for a big leg woman because don't nobody want no bone but a dog. So I'm looking for a big leg woman. And she going to have good credit because my credit is jacked up. And it started like that with banter with the audience. And women would hold up their credit cards and, we'd have fun with it. And then I said, I'm going to have to write this.
Right.
And so that's what I did. I went, and that's another song that wrote itself. It just wrote itself. And I was laughing out loud. There's a line, she ain't got the cook, she ain't got the soul, just have a 700 credit score or more. And it was just fun. It just made me laugh. And everybody that heard it said, man, you got to record that. You got to record that. I said, well, let me do it on stage a few times. Every time I did it on stage, it was the most requested song of the night. And then I called the Southern Soul. I said, this doesn't really sound like my regular blues. This sounds like more grown black folks blues.
Right.
It's fun. And so there was a company that was in town in the Southeast here, and it was a Southern Soul company. And I called the president, which is Theodis Ely. He had a big hit called Stand Up in it. As a matter of fact, 2006 Single of the Year on Billboard was his song Stand Up in It. And he took that and he formed his own record label. And I called him and I kept calling. I said, I got this song. I had known him because I'd played drums behind him at one point. I said, I got this song that I really want to record. I really want to do. You can do it or whatever. And he said, I just don't have the time. I'm on tour all the time. And I finally called him. He said, listen, I'm over here turning in this car at this rental place. If you want to come over here and audition, you can. So I went over there and I said, put this CD in a CD player. It was the music that minus the vocal. And I sat in the back seat of that rental car and I sang A Big Leg Woman with Good Credit for him. And we signed the record deal right then and there. And that's how that happened. That speaks to the perseverance again. Right. You can't sit in front of your computer somewhere. You have to get out there and get a little dirty. And I know he was putting me on the spot trying to see if I would do it because there was a couple of other people in in the car, and I'm sitting back there with these two guys on either side of me, and and he says, "We got to go. We can go on tour. Let me hear what you got." And I put in Big Leg Woman. The whole car, they all was laughing, and he said, "You got it. When I get back, we'll record it." And that's how I got that record out. And now it's on Music Choice, and it's on heavy rotation on there, and it's doing well in other countries as well now. So
the grind
that's how that
stop.
song came about. Yeah, that's how that song came about, and it's never fails to ignite the crowd when we do it. People love it, and it's not just black folks that love it. I found that everybody loves it because even if they undercover, most guys like a full-figured woman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So. You know, even if they fronting about something else, you know.
Yeah. I ain't mad at you, but I will. What I want to talk about, based on the process of this song, like traditional blues, you still are a showsman and you still engage the audience. How important is that for your music and performance?
For me, it's the visual equivalent to what you're saying in the song. It's the utmost importance because even more than a song, it breaks down those barriers between artist and audience. And that's what I do best. You know, I love the interaction with an audience. I love that it's different every single night. I'm not one of these guys that gets up there and, you know, if you heard me on Thursday, he going to say the same thing on Saturday. It's always going to be different. I'm going to be feeding off of what the energy that's in the audience, and the energy is always different every night. Right. So yeah, I think that live performance is of the utmost importance.
That's very groovy.
And you know, they have so many different options, and they chose to honor me by coming to my performance. So that in itself, I start off on top.
Right.
I love it, man. It's the ultimate expression to me besides writing the songs. Right. To get up there and to be honored with people sitting there that you give this energy to. You give them light and they give you light. There's nothing better.
Right. And you find, obviously, but I have to ask, you find that engaging the audience makes it more interactive and they receive it that much better, correct?
Yes, very, very much so. Very much so.
That's groovy. So, I want to talk about something outside of music for a moment.
Okay.
You went back to college.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to college later in life. So, and I'm a big advocate for African American literacy. And Howlin' Wolf went back to schools. I would like to know what inspired you to do that. And at what age were you, and how did it happen? How did it work out?
It worked out well. I got it. I went back and got my degree. I had, when I got out of high school, I went straight to college. I went to the Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, and then I went to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio for music. But I was constantly missing a lot after the first couple of years because I was always going out on tour. I was always playing and trying to maintain both. So I left there, and I probably went back 20 years later, 15 or 20 years later, I went back to school. And what drove me to do that is I have insatiable thirst for knowledge. Mm. And that's the thing that drove me to do it. So I want, it always felt a little unfinished to me. And I was a bit more settled in my career and a bit more established. So that's what drove me to go back. I think it's very, very important that, people are watching, people are seeing you, and it's important that they see you do the right things. And to me, there's nothing more important than education, or else you're going to be sitting in somebody's cube and, cussing at drivers, going someplace you don't want to be. Knowledge is the key that unlocks all of that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. So you went to school for music, so you're really immersed in in instrumentation and composition and everything.
But when I went back to school for business. I have a degree in business. Is when I went back, because I realized that there are some brilliant musicians sleeping under bridges because they had their business together.
You answered a whole lot of questions right there.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that guy or that female. I didn't want to be neither one of them, you know. And I always wanted to be my own boss. I tried to do the straight 9-to-5 gig. It didn't work out too well with me because I always knew I was a fish out of water there. So I said, well, in order to arm myself and prepare myself to do what I need to be doing, which is my own business, which is what I do now, you know, through music, I need to make sure that I educate myself. And that's why that was one of the main reasons I went back.
I hope you guys are listening. Again, education, business is important. The statement you made was the great musicians. And it's funny because I would be on the train here in New York City and I would see brothers, I mean, they're just blowing like the Temptations or people like this. And you would just wonder what their story is. And a lot of the times it's not what's being presented as if it's just bad habits, drugs, alcoholism, or whatever, but it was the situation, didn't understand the business, got played, and then they medicated. It didn't start the other way around.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's exactly right.
So what's in the future for you, sir? Because you've done a lot.
My thing right now is I'm excited. I booked a tour over in Europe under my own name. I've been over behind other people, but I just booked the tour under my own name, and I'm looking forward to playing in other parts of the world. I'd like to take half a year and play in other parts of the world. Especially my bucket list place is Australia. I've never been, but that's the place I've always wanted to perform and to spend a lot of time in. So I'm looking forward to that. I've read about all of these different places I want to go and want to see and want to perform at, and that's what's next for me, as well as building my business.
Absolutely.
And taking the things that I've learned and taking these roads that I've taken and showing other people. It's just like a musical underground railroad, you know, just leading other people in this way. And I can say, hey, there's a big old hole there. I stepped in it. You don't have to.
Right. A roadmap.
Exactly.
I dig it. Do you see yourself doing films in the future?
In a musical capacity, I think that could be fun. I mean, I've been, my songs have been in movies and things. Not my songs, my voice, I should say. I've been on commercials. I've done different things. Musically, I've done that, and I've been in film. So yeah, I think that would be fun. It's not something. If that's something that divinely I'm led to, I will embrace it. That's not something I have had desires for, but that's also not something I would close the door on. I think it would be very, very interesting. I'm always interested in new vehicles. I'm always interested in new avenues. So yeah, that would be something I'd be very much excited about.
You've given myself included and our audience a lot of information. This is probably a summary of our interview, but I still have to ask, what would be, if an up-and-coming artist approached you and asked you for some advice, what would be the major thing that you would express? I
would say find your voice as an artist and then be fearless. Those are the two things, because for some reason there's this notion that it's impossible to do this. This is so difficult to break into this. It's who you know, and all these other tired cliches that limit people. And I would tell them that nothing is impossible, that if you make your aim to express yourself, your art, your voice, then I think that you combine that with fearlessness. Don't let somebody tell you can't do something because they couldn't do it. You know, and you have to get away from those people, those naysayers. those. I guess the word now the kids are using is haters. You got to get away from them because they just like those crabs in the barrel, and we know about them. They don't want nobody to get out that barrel, and we'll all die in here. So that's what I would tell them. You got to find and nurture your voice, and then be fearless in presenting that voice to everyone else.
Dig it. So now, tell the good folk where they could find you, your music, your website, the whole spiel.
Well, easiest way I tell people is just to Google my name, Larry Griffith. I have websites out there. Griffith is Griffith. I have Larry Griffith Music, which is one of my sites. I have records out. So if you Google me, all of that will come up. The records that I have out, my dates, where I'm playing, bio, what I'm about, who I'm about, the record companies, everything will come up once you Google it. So that's easier than going, Facebook me here and then blah 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 me here and blah. Just Google my name and lots of good stuff will come up.
Okay, now Google the name, y'all. You heard it, Brother Larry. It's been an honor for you taking time out of your schedule to chop it up with us here, talking about the blues.
Oh, the honor's been all mine. I appreciate you.
Likewise. Once again, you guys have been bluesing with Talking About the Blues podcast.
I know what I'm doing. I'm starting my week off right with Talking About the Blues podcast, where we celebrate our heritage and preserve blues music. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page, join our email list by following our Talking About the Blues blog. Don't forget it, every Monday, keep bluesing.
Yeah, man, give me one of them tickets. Which one? Whichever one say far, far away. Cause I gotta get up out of here before I do something drastic. Female gonna mess around and make me catch a case. California, Tennessee, New York City, New Orleans. Drop me off in Gay Paris. My old lady stepped out on me. Conductor, take me anywhere. Don't wanna be here. All aboard, please have your tickets ready. She must be out of her mind. Cincinnati, Abilene, Detroit cities, fine with me. It don't matter, cause you see, my old lady stepped out on me. If you please, conductor, take me anywhere. Don't wanna be nowhere near, no. You know what? I got to run, I've got to hide. Got to take a loaded pistol, keep it by my side. Cause if anybody asks me if they wanna know what's wrong with me, I'm gonna tell them all, leave me be, let me grieve in peace. Help me hurry out of here. Destination anywhere. One-way ticket, I don't care. Too much pain up in here. I've got to run, I've got to hide. Got to take a loaded pistol, keep it by my side. Cause if anybody asks me, they wanna know what's wrong with me, I'm gonna tell them all, leave me be, let me breathe in peace. Conductor, won't you take me anywhere? Don't wanna be, I don't wanna be here. No. Don't wanna be here. Too much pain up in here. Well. Too much pain up in here.